Gaura Pramanandi, Hari Hari Ram. All glories to Shri Shri Gauranga, all glories to Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu Jam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Jam Shloke Viti Bhavati Vashtaki Haribo. Hare Krishna. Hey, thank you so much everyone for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me to talk something on Bhagavad Gita. I got a real shock actually driving in this afternoon. I didn't realise there was going to be so many devotees. So I don't know that I'm very well prepared. So my apologies. But as Prabhu said in his lovely warm introduction, my name is Jamuna, and I thought I would talk something on belonging and where do I belong. It's something that's near to my heart because I think it's actually what attracted me to Krishna consciousness. When I was trying to figure out where it is I fit in and who it is I want to be. So, like that was the topic for tonight, was really this idea of where do I really belong? Because now after some time I've come to realize it's not actually this place. It's not actually this material world. It's been a late realization in my life, but hey, that's okay. As background, I like the idea of identity, of belonging. I see it's important in material lives, but especially so in our spiritual lives. It's actually everything to come to a place of understanding who we really are and where we really belong. It's actually the essence of Christian consciousness. And when we spend time with the devotees in their association, and when we spend time studying the scriptures, it becomes clearer that really this material world, it's not all it's cracked up to be. And really, it's the spiritual realm that should hold our interest, that should hold our intrigue, that should motivate us to want to know more and understand more, because it's the next step after material life. What happens when we leave? We leave, we're dead. Spiritual life is there though. It's always there. Material life starts, finishes. Spiritual life is eternal. But I'm waffling because I've jumped ahead. So really today I wanted to share with you Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 30. And of course as I look around the room I already know everybody does know this verse, but I'm going to recite it anyway. If you know it, you're more than welcome to recite it with me, otherwise I'll just recite it. As I said, Bhagavad Gita, text, chapter 6, text 30. Yomam pasyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Purport. A person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Krishna everywhere, and he sees everything in Krishna. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestations of the material nature, but in each and every instance, he is conscious of Krishna, knowing that everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna, a position transcendental even to material liberation. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, beyond self-realization, the devotee becomes one with Krishna in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. An intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of the sight of the devotee. To merge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. A devotee takes no such risk. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.38. Premanjana Chirita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Virideshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunasvarupam Govindam Haripurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord, Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shamasundara, situated within the heart of the devotee. At this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma within the heart, the same applies. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord within himself. So nice. I'm going to read the translation again. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. So nice. So So, while this verse is actually showing us, teaching us, that we can never be lost to Krishna. When we learn how to see him everywhere, this is nice. This adds to my sense of belonging. I need, personally, I need to know that I belong to my God and that my God belongs to me. And Krishna consciousness spells that out for me, spells it out. And it's here in this text, making it very clear. And when we hang around the devotees for long enough and we see the way that they perform bhakti, their loving devotional service to Krishna, we can see that that's a manifestation of practical love. And really what I did want to talk about, short answer, where do I really belong? In the spiritual world. If you need to leave, you can go now. That's the answer. It's not here. It's not in this material world, but it's not in this material life. It's in the spiritual realm, and it's back in a spiritual, loving relationship with Krishna. So, the reason this sense of belonging is important is because we actually spend our whole lives trying to belong somewhere, to someone's family. I belong to Ali, my mum, Felice, my father. I belong to their cultural backgrounds. I belong to, well, I did belong to my father's faith, born and raised in a Catholic family. So like that, we're taught, this is where you belong, this is what you should do. The thing is, it's incorrect information. It's partial information. It's not the whole picture. What is being left out is the entire spiritual realm. We come to the material world, we're born, we understand, we grow, we live this life, and we think it's the be-all and end-all. We really do, because we're not taught any different. Even those of us that may have been born into a religious family of a different denomination, often their scriptures are also bereft of detail. And this is what Krishna consciousness gives. It gives the warm fuzzies. I like warm fuzzies. I like feeling like I belong. I like feeling safe and secure. And Krishna consciousness delivers the philosophy that allows you to grow these feelings. You see, you can't just have feelings willy-nilly. Oh yes, God is good. I will be a good person. I think I know what goodness looks like. I can see other people being good, I think. And if I follow them, I think I'm going to be okay. And I'll have a good life. And this is good, right? Am I right? The thing is, if that's the information I'm given, and if that's the information I accept to be complete, then that limits how I behave thereafter. I don't need to do anything particularly outstanding or exceptional, I guess. What I mean to say is, I'm losing my train of thought, sorry, I'm a bit overtired. What I mean to say is, when we're born here, we're taught a certain way. And that's all good and well until it doesn't feel right anymore, until it feels lacking. And this happened for me as an adult, when I wasn't quite getting satisfactory answers, I thought, around my questions about God and spiritual life. My brother and my father are very Catholic, and they would try and teach me, and I would listen and I would hear, and I could see and love the fact that they love God through their Catholic lens. It just wasn't quite enough for me. Maybe I'm just difficult. However, come time to meet the devotees, something clicked. Something clicked when I first attended a Sunday feast. It was Sunday back in the day, but now it's Saturday, it's much better. Easier to get to work on Monday. And when I first met the devotees and I heard them and I saw their behaviour, I saw the way they acted toward one another, and I heard from the scriptures, and I heard about an older man who came from India who chanted the holy names of God. I thought, wow, that's pretty far out, it's very different. But I really liked them. I liked their calmness. I liked their they were at peace, peaceful people. This was back in Wellington, New Zealand, a while ago. And there was only 3 or 4 devotees that were running the temple back then. It was a rental property. Anyway, they made such a wonderful impression, because I suddenly thought, oh yeah, I'll keep coming to this Sunday feast, this Sunday program. Seems like a good idea. And then I got more and more comfortable, started talking more and understanding, listening more, taking prasadam much more, learning to chant and clap in front of the deities. That was really big for me. I was sold. I really thought that if I clapped in front of Gornitai, small Gornitai, marble, small marble Gornitai deities in Wellington, I think they still reside there. And the devotee said, clap, you'll make such spiritual progress. I was clapping my hands in front of those deities, thinking, this is easy. I got this. I can do this. I can chant Hare Krishna with my hands. Anyway, like that, my interest grew. And then I started to think, rather than just visit, I'd actually like to spend a lot more time with these people. So this is this idea of me finding where I fit in. Trying to feel what is comfortable, what feels right, intrinsically right for me. And it was spending more and more time with the devotees. Unfortunately, life happens, and things like just major life changes happen. So we moved countries, and this happened and that happened. Anyway, I drifted away from the devotees for a while. And I didn't realise it because my life was so busy. Busy studying, promotions, work, travelling. And then I realised, must have been about 8 years ago, this is pointless. I've known this for a long time, and this is really, really pointless. And as in, I wasn't feeling satisfied. Yes, I had schooled, my children, they were growing, young adults. Yes, I was able to, pay my bills and not get arrested for crimes, being a good citizen. So, surely this should feel a little bit more rewarding. Or what's this all about? Is this it? Is this it? And then I realised, oh my gosh, this is so not it. If you can remember back a few years ago when you were in the association of devotees a lot more often, you were wanting a relationship with Krishna. You remember that? So anyway, I had to have that moment when I realised that's what's missing. I'm not happy. It feels futile. I'm treading water. My life feels like it's going nowhere fast. I'm doing a lot productively. What's missing? The devotees, Krishna, that sense of belonging spiritually, that's what was missing. And actually, it took some sort of health issue, really, for me to fully understand and appreciate that is actually what was going on. I realised that I was wasting time because I didn't know what I was doing, and that the only time I ever felt like I was a little bit more switched on was when I was hanging out with the devotees. And this idea of belonging and feeling, as I said, safe and secure in my spiritual identity, wow, that was worth pursuing. It's worth pursuing for all of us. The problem is when we keep trying to belong to these external designations, these material bodily designations. So when we're born, we have to take a body, whether it's black, green, yellow, whether you're Mexican, Spanish, Chinese, man, woman. These days, people won't even drill down on that. Intersex, non-binary, I'm sorry, I don't know the terminology, but so it's no longer just man and woman now. You can be all sorts of things in between. You can be from this country, that country, in this type of body, fat, skinny, tall, short, black, pink. As long as we keep thinking we only belong to that group, that's the be-all and end-all. As long as we keep thinking that, we're stuck there. We behave like that. We believe that's the be-all and end-all. And it's so not. It's so not. Spiritual life is actually the reason we're here. The reason we come to this material world is to reconnect with our spiritual identity and then return to the spiritual realm. That's what this material world is for. We've got lessons to learn. We have we need to learn to love. Bhakti, Krishna consciousness, loving devotional service, all can be used interchangeably. They mean the same thing. They mean to love Krishna, to learn to form a relationship and love Krishna. Today actually was such a lovely class by His Holiness Banu Maharaj, where he was speaking on the holy names, chanting the holy names. And he talked about why we chant the holy name, because Krishna is present in his name. So when we call out Krishna, it's not an empty thing. Krishna is with us. He's transcendental, and he is he is within his name. So when we get to chant his name, that's our direct link to Krishna. And it helps remind us of our spiritual identity. It helps us remember that this place is not the be-all and end-all, and this life and this body and this ailments and all these problems and all these issues are temporary, and they'll stay here. When I'm ready to leave, to depart, when I'm finished with this body, all the problems, all the issues, all the worries and concerns, they'll still be with the body. My spirit soul, which is part and parcel of Krishna, I'm sure we know that. We know it theoretically, at least. At the time of death, that small spark within you, that small part that belongs to, is the same as, qualitatively, as Krishna, it wants to go back to Krishna, it wants to return to Goloka Vrindavan, it wants to return to Godhead. That's its original position. But as long as we keep staying here thinking that, but I think if I can be have a better life, maybe that's the point. So maybe instead of being a woman of colour this life, what if I come back as a wealthy white man the next one? Is that better? Will I get a better house, better car, better family? I don't think I might. Maybe I'll pray for that. It might be a good idea. Well, that's foolish if I was to do that. Because again, everything here in the material world, it's temporary, it's fleeting. Sorry if I'm not explaining things so fully, because I'm just looking around the room and I'm fairly convinced everybody knows some of the basics of Krishna consciousness. Now, having said that, if I got that wrong, has anyone not been to a class before? Put your hand up. Ah, good. I'm dealing with seasoned professionals. I can see that. So, in this material life, we want to be happy. We want to feel safe and secure. I certainly do. I need a sense of belonging. I have needed it in my material life. What to speak of my spiritual life, now I realise. Now I realise this has actually been the driving force in my wanting to know more about Krishna and hang out more with the devotees and live a life trying to please Krishna. This sense of belonging, if you can think about it even in its most rawest material sense, one who knows where they come from, one who knows who they are, really, they're streets ahead. They're confident, they know where they're going, what they're doing. They can walk tall, hold their head up. I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm about. That's just materially. What to speak of spiritually? Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhupada, for coming to the West and bringing the Mahamantra. Because otherwise, my information currently available to me is limited. It's a poor fund of knowledge, truth be known. So I'm very grateful that Prabhupada came. I'm very grateful I got to meet some really nice devotees in Wellington and then want to clap in front of the deities and want to chant. This is nice. This is very beneficial for my spiritual self. It's very beneficial for all of us to take up this idea of Krishna consciousness, developing relationship with Krishna, understanding who we are, knowing the goal of life, knowing the destination after this life. Those are huge questions. Huge. Many philosophers through the centuries have spent entire lifetimes pondering these very questions. And here it is. We have Prabhupada in our corner who sacrificed so much to bring the Mahamantra to the West. I mean, of course, Lord Chaitanya, when he was spreading the holy names through India, this was such a revelation at the time. Extraordinary preaching. But he left the sweetness of taking it abroad to his dear devotees. And this is the position we're in now too, you know. It's this idea that if we find any benefit, any good fortune, any relief from our practice of Krishna consciousness, then don't be selfish about it. We can share it with others. In fact, we need to share it with others to make it count, really, to make our learning matter, is when we share understandings of Krishna with others. So, the spiritual world, hey? Spiritual world. It takes a bit of faith to believe that there's this whole other place, space and time called Goloka Vrindavan, called the higher planetary systems, lower planetary systems, like that. I didn't know about that. All I knew was there was Earth and this Milky Way. You see, the knowledge is so much more detailed, so much more detailed. And the spiritual world is eternal. It's our destination. It's where we're going to. So, if we can start thinking about belonging to Krishna now, while we're here, in the material world, in this material body, we can actually start our very spiritual journey to return home, back to God here, to be with Krishna. Right now, right this moment. We start that sense of belonging by chanting the holy names, because Krishna is no different to his name. Krishna is present in his name. Theoretically, we know that. When we believe it, really believe it, our sadhana, our bhakti becomes next level. We were taught that there are steps. A progressive step can be made through your Krishna conscious journey. And this is how you do it. We have sadhus, Vaishnavas, Guru, Sastra. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, not only is there so much detail to the spiritual world, to our spiritual identity, to Krishna himself, his likes, his pastimes, the way He spends his time. Christian consciousness has so much detail around that, and we need that detail, because the more spiritual detail we have at the time of death, better for us to have some realizations that we're not guessing, that we remember, yes, Krishna and the cowherd boys of Goloka Vrindavan, and the meadows and the cows, and his flute playing, his crown. We need those details in our heart to help us with the transition when it's time to leave this body. That's what takes us home. That's when we can be where we actually truly belong, in the spiritual realm. And not just anywhere in the spiritual realm. Goloka Vrindavan. Be specific in your meditations, in your research on spiritual knowledge. Drill down as much as you can. Which avatar of Krishna do you like the most? Which pastime attracts you or tickles your fancy? Which bhajans from Vaishnavas, which ones are the sweetest to you? Like that, when you start to fill in the blanks and get more detail and more understanding and appreciation of Sastra and Krishna, this helps us to solidify our theoretical understanding. This is what I mean by, like, I think for a lot of us, theoretically we know, yes, Krishna is from the spiritual realm. Yes, if we chant Hare Krishna, he comes, he dances on our tongue. And I'm not the body, I'm spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. These things we know theoretically. Do we feel it in our heart? Do we really feel it in our heart? Is it motivating us? Is it making us move toward Krishna? If it is, spot on. Well done. Nothing more to say. You're doing really well. However, if you find that you're not really doing that much in your spiritual life, not much different or challenging or inspiring, then take a look at that and think about how to freshen things up with your sadhana, with your bhakti, with your practice. Maybe just coming to a Saturday night feast is not enough anymore. Maybe you need another day around the devotees. Maybe you want to attend Bhagavatam class via Zoom. However it is that you want to increase your Krishna consciousness, there's no right or wrong answer. It's all right. It's all right when you're pointing towards Krishna, when you're heading towards Krishna. It's all right. So, if we need this sense of feeling safe and secure in who we are, we need that spiritually, and Krishna consciousness gives it to us in spades. It gives it to us so much. All we have to do is take the time to try and find the answers to our questions. And of course, I'll be the first to say, sastras can be confusing. I'm very easily confused. But this is what I mean when we have the support already inbuilt into our sadhana with this idea that we can consult sadhu, not just worry about sastra. I mean, if we can't quite understand what I'm reading in Bhagavatam, I can ask some Vaishnavas. I can look to some senior devotees' advice. I can maybe ask Guru, Shiksha, Diksha. There's always a way through any shortcoming that we have of our own intelligence. And of course, what to speak of Krishna's mercy. I think we often forget that Krishna is so merciful. How pleased we are when we see our children, our grandchildren, do something good. You see, we practically squeal. I do. Oh, good boy. Look at him, but he threw the rubbish, but he knew it was wrong and he picked it up. Such a good boy. Just think how Krishna thinks like this about us. When he sees us doing something good, something spiritually correct, he's so pleased for us. He's so pleased. Krishna wants us back home with him. Krishna loves us. It's us that have to learn to love Krishna and to see him everywhere and in everything. We, in broad terms, we're taught, Krishna, he is the taste of water. Krishna is ever present. In so many ways, actually, we're taught. And again, it's theoretical until we really, really believe it. And for all of us, for some of us, that level of understanding and appreciation, it does wax and wane. So some days I think I get it a little bit more. Other days I'm more obtuse. I don't understand. I don't get it. But that's okay, because I know that if I'm patient, just keep going, there'll be some insight that will come. So again, the spiritual realm, it's huge, and we're not taught about it, and yet it exists, and yet it is actually the basis of our real identity. And to be with Krishna is the goal of life. It is the ultimate sense of belonging when you understand who Krishna is, who we are, and how we can have a relationship with him, a very loving one. To have Krishna love us, protect us, care for us, we belong to him. And here's the thing. Krishna is also controlled by his devotees. He loves us too. He loves us very, very much. So he will help. He'll help. We might not see his help. I haven't seen his help or recognized it as help until many, many, many years later. I've had the good fortune to realize, that was Krishna helping me. I didn't realize it at the time. So Krishna reciprocates. Yes, he does. He's present in his name, and he's present in the scriptures. These are his promises that are being told to us right now, right here, tonight. Lord Krishna, he's everywhere. devotee needs to learn to see this and to see everything in Krishna, meaning all that is manifest comes from him and sits within him. We depend on him. So, really that was what I wanted to talk about, was my idea of wanting to belong, and how that has been very important in my material life, and even more so in my spiritual life, to know that I belong to Krishna. And Bhagavad Gita is telling me, yeah you do. Yeah you do very much. So I'll stop there. If there are any questions, sorry, I do feel, as I look around the room, I just see so many devotees, and I kind of just thought it might be a lot of first-time people, but you're very experienced, and I'm a bit embarrassed I didn't prepare as well as I could have, so my apologies. Hare Krishna, please, if there are any questions or comments, let's discuss. This is a good time to do it. Hare Krishna. Aren't we spoiled for choice at the moment with all the visiting Vaishnavas? I'm just loving it. I think Brisbane's having such a good old time at the moment. And I also wanted to say, Hare Krishna, this Bhakti Centre is beautiful. This is the first time I've come. Sorry, I missed the opening. I had a relative visiting from another town. And I tried to get her to come with me, but she wouldn't come. Anyway, I'm here now, and I'm so grateful. Thank you very much. Have I bored everyone? Sorry.
Any questions or any comments?
Just a comment. The only thing about having an online, what's the word, classes, it's not the same as having a personal thing, and you don't get prashadam.
100% agree with you. Actually, years ago, my son and I, we lived in Perth, and we lived in Bayswater, right next to the Perth Temple was at Bayswater at the time. It was in the 90s.